The stage is yours.
Thank you to our Zoom Master Bertus, and a special thank you to Toastmaster Selina and Toastmaster Sigrid, who continue to support us, and Toastmaster Howell, who watches our time. Welcome to our session number 8 of the L.E.A.D Executive Development Programme, where we are looking at L for lead, E, empower, A, accelerate, and D, your development. We'll immediately get into the program for today, starting off with feedback from session number 7, which was analytical thinking and problem solving, where we had Toastmaster Kuhle Mthembu take us through that session. So I am looking for volunteers who would like to give us feedback from session number 7. You can either raise your hand and then unmute yourself when we recognize you, or if you want to immediately unmute, please do go right ahead. Feedback from session number 7, analytical thinking and problem solving. Part of our code of conduct is 100% participation. And so I don't want to have to pick on anybody. So let's hear from you. Those who attended last week, those who didn't, the YouTube link was shared, and during the week, you should have then caught up with session number 7. Feedback on analytical thinking and problem solving. Do we have any volunteers? Or are we saying all 30 plus participants, no one is wanting to volunteer? Or are we typing in the chat box? Thank you, Toastmaster Sibongile. Please go right ahead.
Thank you, DTM Zvai. One thing that stood out for me in the session, I couldn't make it, so I followed through the YouTube video, was the origin story in relation to how the emotions, behavior, perspective, and the origin story relate using a tree from its roots, the roots being the origin story, the stem being the perspective that one derives based on their origin story, the various branches that determine the behavior that that one portrays based on the perspectives that they get, and ultimately the leaves, which are the emotions now, and how all this is related to the origin story ultimately. So really, it's that reminder that our emotions are not just by themselves, they're related to the story that we make up. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sibongile, for your feedback, and well done to you, having not attended the meeting, but you still then went ahead and caught up, because remember, each week we are building on what we've done in the past couple of sessions. So we're already on session number 8, and with 2 more sessions to go. So thank you and well done, Toastmaster Sibongile. Anyone else with feedback or want to share how they were able to apply what we learned in last week's session? Do I see any hands, or are the leaders now forcing me to pick on them? I would rather you volunteer. Okay, I see there's a hand, and I am trying to see whose hand it is. Toastmaster Hannah, please go ahead.
Hello. I'm also one of those people who caught up with the meeting on the recording. it was I was saddened that I missed the live because then I had so many questions after, but it was quite mind opening. I really liked some of the stuff that you guys did, like the questioning. It's really felt like you said, a build up from the coaching session and also the identity session. And for me, it was about, again, asking the right questions. Always be curious. I think that leads to logic. Curiosity will lead to good logic, and asking many questions, but also asking the right questions, which that's why then I had to ask in the group, like, how do you know that the questions that you ask are the right questions? But just going through the session, I think I watched it twice. There are no stupid questions, but some of the questions you end up answering yourself. So that's where the logic then works. So it was quite a profound session for me, even though I watched it after.
Great. Thank you, Toastmaster Hannah. Any other hand raised? Toastmaster Nobantu, please unmute and go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My last week's session for me was rather thought-provoking, in the sense that I've never considered myself, I never thought about analytical thinking. But the tidbits such as that you can't go 3 seconds without thinking, and he had a couple of other examples there. But it just got me thinking that that's what we do on a constant basis, whether you're just lying down, and that your thoughts are the end product of the mind. It was really, it went deep for me, and how you the thought that's positioned in your mind, and that the perspectives come from an original thought, and it just bound that together for me. So I really enjoyed the session and took a great deal from it, and actually did build on to the other sessions that we've gone through. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much for your feedback, Toastmaster Nobantu. If we can have just 2 more who would want to share about session number 7, which was analytical thinking and problem solving. You can either raise your hand or unmute.
I can just talk.
Okay. Go ahead,
Hello?
Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I learned that I must know the premises, and I should make connections. And also, when I get information, I must evaluate the information to check whether it's valid or true. And also, I must learn to draw conclusions which are validated. And also, I learned that I should use my instincts. My instincts are very important. And I also learned that I should ask many questions as possible to get to where I am. Because if I do not ask, I will end up assuming. So I should ask as many questions as possible so that I know where I am coming from and where I'm going. And also, I should be able to trial and error, because if I don't, then I will never succeed. So yeah, I should trust my instincts and trial and error. That's what I got from the last training. Thank you.
Great.
Back to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Gladys. And I'm sure you've already started implementing that which you've been learning at each and every session. Then we have feedback in the chat box. Hannah says, as for the exercise of being a chemistry student, I'm glad I missed that. I did not like chemistry. Toastmaster Marilise, I found the third step of the logical thinking process very interesting. This is where you evaluate the information, whether it is valid or true. So often one is biased when receiving information you don't agree with, and this has forced me to take a step back and evaluate it first. Thank you for your feedback. Toastmaster Gianna says, good takeaway in neuroscience, rules, logic, and philosophy form a perfect triangle. And Toastmaster Hannah, I also found that when it comes to issues such as religious beliefs and romantic love, logic takes me out of my comfort zone. Thank you to those who typed in the chat box. Do we have one more Toastmaster who would want to unmute so that we can hear your feedback of what you got from last week's session, or maybe how you've already started applying what we learned in session 7, analytical thinking and problem solving? If you'd like to unmute, or if you want to raise your hand first. And there was silence from the leaders. Going once, going twice. And do remember, the team is looking at who is doing what, who submits assignments, who participates, and so on, as we build up to the grand finale in session number 10. And there are some voices we've never heard. So that's just for you to know. Do we have anyone else who wants to share, or are we moving straight on? Okay, maybe there was a...
If there's
okay,
somebody,
there
I can add on.
unmuted?
I can add on. I can add on.
Okay, go ahead, Toastmaster Gladys.
I can add on. I can add on to what I've just said. If there's nobody.
Okay,
No,
go
I
ahead.
just enjoyed the session because it was so engaging. It was participatory because we were given some case studies to work on. So I really liked the approach of the presentation because it was participatory. We managed to tackle a case study like ours, which we tackled. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Right.
Just wanted to make an addition.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Gladys. Well, we will move on and get into our session for today, which I believe quite a number of us have been waiting for, because we are looking at bringing balance to our lives and to what we do, especially also some of us who are so passionate about Toastmasters, and yet we also have a lot of other things going on in our lives. And this evening, I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker, facilitator, our trainer for this evening, who is the Toastmaster of the Year 2021. She joined Toastmasters in 2001 and completed her Distinguished Toastmaster Award in the Legacy Program. She has since completed not one, but 2 Distinguished Toastmaster, received Toastmaster Awards in Pathways. So she is a 3 times DTM. She has served as an EXCO member in most of the positions. She's a TLI trainer and has trained all EXCO positions, roles. She has served as TLI coordinator, serves and trains a group of International Vice President Education. She has served on District 74 Open House Initiative. She's also served on the District 74 Reformation. She has served as an area director. She has started, sponsored, and mentored new clubs. She has also successfully coached struggling clubs to achieve their distinguished club program status. She also facilitates the speaker to trainer workshops and has also mentored district leaders. In terms of her personal achievements, over 30 years experience as a conference speaker and trainer, and she develops leaders for success. She's a TV presenter, an author, a TEDx presenter, and she has also walked the Fish River Canyon. If you can help me welcome Granny B 007, Distinguished Toastmaster. Over to you, Granny B.
Thank you so much, BTM, for that very warm welcome. And good afternoon or evening or whatever it is with you. Now, I know from where I'm standing, that side of Africa, the sun has already set. But this side where I am at the sea, it's bright sunlight. It's still a long way for the sun to drop. So for me, it's afternoon, but it might be evening for you. I'm so excited to be here and to connect with you guys. And I look forward to this session. But before I get my teeth stuck into this session, I need you to understand that I am not a presenter. I ask questions. I like to ask questions because I have learned in my life. Well, let me just rephrase that. When I did some research to find out how do people learn the most, we know from various studies, the more of your 5 senses you use, the better the learning experience. That's why they allow the children to do a lot of tactile, etc. In Toastmasters, we say, you learn as you do. For that reason, it's such a beautiful practical course that gives you opportunities to do things so that you can learn. But what I've noticed in various different studies, that when you just read or watch or receive, there is a certain amount of learning that takes place, but it jumps and escalates extremely high to somewhere in the 60s and 70s when you are presenting or engaged in a discussion or doing a demonstration. But do you know where the most learning takes place? The highest percentage of learning takes place when you are teaching, mentoring, coaching. And when I ask you questions, it kicks into your mind that perspective of teaching, coaching, and presenting. And that's what I want to get with you today. I want you to kick in that which is going to take you places so that you can excel and be amazing leaders just before you fall off to sleep. Now, one quick story before we get started. Some of you know me and I've worked with you before, and some don't know me, or you know of me. But if you know me, you would have learned, I love to help people. I just love to help people. That's me. But that can get me into trouble because I would see a problem and I just want to help here, and then I want to help there, and then I want to help there. And before you know it, I don't have time for anything else. And some years ago, I learned a very valuable lesson from Karen Kremer, who is a past district director. Her and I worked closely together for many, many, many years, not in Toastmasters. I met her long before Toastmasters. And she suffered burnout at one stage. And one day when she was giving her testimony of this, I caught on to what she said. And that was such a life lesson for me. She said to me, B, you know what I've learned? I've learned to say no, but not just that. Now, when people come, because she's just like me, she is such an amazing servant-hearted person. She's just so amazing. If you haven't met her, you will just, she's so amazing. And she's learned, she was telling me the story. I've learned that when somebody comes to ask me, how do I do this? Or can you help me with that? Or how does this happen, etc. And then she would say, oh, sorry, I can't help you. I just do not have the time now to help you. And somehow they would persist and continue and press in because they want her help. And she said to me, I have learned something else since then. I have learned to say, hell no. And we all just went, oh, we couldn't imagine that she would say that. But you know what? It brought her freedom. She still helps people, but she helps people to an extent that she doesn't burn out. And because of what she has told me, I've learned to apply things in my life to prevent me from burning out. So let's get our teeth stuck into what we have for today. Now, what I'm going to share with you today, although it says time and stress management, looking for the balance, I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to go first to stress. So let's have a look at time and stress management, the balance. And here we go. My question to you now, and I just want to quickly minimize something here. Somebody is unmuted. I would like to quickly jump in here and ask you, what do you think stress is? What do you think stress is? Just write for me in the chat box. What do you think? What do you think is stress? Now, what is it? What do you think it is? Now, I'm going to share with you, I'm watching the chat box, my eyes are on the chat box. And to give you a bit of time to type and to think and to process, I'm going to share with you what you might relate to, that how some people see it as. Oh, thank you. You see, I had to type that there because I knew I'd forget. So here goes my disclaimer. My disclaimer is, I am not a medical practitioner or anything or a psychologist or a psychiatrist or anything like that. I need you to know that. But what I will be sharing with you is to give you information that you can dig your teeth into. But if you have any severe problems, do contact your doctor. End of disclaimer. Right. Let's see, it looks like there's some movement here. Being overwhelmed. Oh, yeah. Pressure. Exactly. Whatever causes mental, emotional, or physical strain. Yep. Doing that we don't like. Exactly. Doing what we don't like. Stress, not being able to do everything you think you need to do. Stress is feeling overwhelmed. I think of being unable to handle what is before me. Yep. It's pressure to deliver to an expectation. Exactly. Pressure, frustration. Yes. Not able to manage what you have to do. Absolutely. Any kind of pressure that is beyond one's coping abilities, being overwhelmed and not being able to manage things, anxiety. Oh, yeah. Trying to do many things at the same time. Look, I can't do that. I can't do many things at the same time. And the experience is overwhelming. Having uncontrolled anxiety causes, yes, some of the stress, things out of control, pressure. A lot of that now is similar. Wonderful. It's emotional imbalance. Yep. It seems you have an idea. So let's move this one further. What they say is, stress is the feeling of being overwhelmed. That's really what came up in the chat box there, or unable to cope with mental or emotional pressure. Now let's look at it a little bit further. What stress is? Stress is your body's reaction to pressure from a certain situation or event. It can be physical, mental, or emotional reaction. And those things happen. Now, when we look at symptoms, there's the cute one. Look, there's nothing cute about stress, but this is my way of remembering. The acute stress is when you have to maybe go and speak at an event and you're a little bit stressed about how you're going to come across. That is stressful that moment for that time. But you can get chronic stress, and that's the one you want to avoid. You see, chronic stress is what takes you down a destructive path. And that's why I want to focus on stress first. It's so important for you to look at your life. What are some of the symptoms of chronic stress? Now, some people don't realize that there's certain events or things in their life that actually stresses them. You've got to find these things out, and I will give you some guidance on what to do there. When you look at chronic stress, some of the symptoms that are there is you struggle to sleep at night. When you wake up, your mind is racing and you're thinking on things. Often this happens with people that are, they have a chronically ill loved one that they need to tend to, or they lost their job and they don't know how they're going to be able to pay the bills, etc. Or they're going through a divorce. There are things that can cause chronic stress for long periods of time. And in that period of time, there's weight loss, there is, you can even have ulcers forming from that. There are all kinds of medical reactions that come as a result of chronic stress. And chronic stress is absolutely a killer to your health, if I can put it that way. Nobody's body is made to have constant stress. It's made that way. Now that we've painted the picture of stress, let's have a look at stress management. Now, I'm going to, as I go through these two slides, the information that's on here is elaborated and in your assignment so that you can think on things a little bit. But now it's just to get us going so that you can understand where we're going to. Right. The first thing that you should do is to recognize what causes you to stress. Just give me one word in the chat. What have you recognized in your life? Not all the things, but just maybe one thing or an important thing that you've recognized causes you stress. Just one thing. And then I told you about current. Learn to say no. Maybe I should have said there. Learn to say, hell no. Learn to say no. Being broke, my skin color. Okay. Oh, wow. Wow. Being self-sacrificial. Being self-critical. Often we stress because we are so critical of ourselves. And that is just kind of what you mentioned there, Hannah. Sometimes a person feels they are too thin or too fat or too light or too dark or too curly hair or too straight hair or too long. Mine is I always make the joke that when I come around the corner, you first see my nose and then me. We're self-critical. Now, I don't let it stress me. I make fun of it, but I am self-conscious of it. But it could stress you highly. So understand and recognize what causes you to be family, goodness. Sorry. Thank you. Missed deadlines, unrealistic deadlines, overthinking. I think probably a huge amount of us here can put our hands up for overthinking. create a network of go-to. You need to be able to see when something happens stressful in your life. For this, go to that. For that, go to this. And that's what I would like to bring through with this training tonight, this session tonight, that you can see how to identify the triggers, the stress points, and then how to create for you a go-to network that the moment you see it coming, you deal with it. Then let's have a look at uninstalling stress through. One of the things that adds a huge amount of stress is smoking and drinking. Often, and even drugs, you can put drugs in there too. Often people take that because they're going through so much stress, and it's absolutely a cigarette. Can you imagine that? I was a smoker. Hey, I used to smoke. I know smoking and drinking and drugs, they do, the moment you take them, that moment, they do relax you. That's true. But after it wears out, it adds stress to your system and it doesn't solve the problem. And when you come out from that, it's even worse. Eating a lot of chocolate. Okay. Food and magnesium, you know, it's here we've got the balance. Eating a lot of chocolate's gonna cause the stress because you have this hype of energy, and then when it comes plonking down, you sit with the problem. Now I put there food, magnesium, and vitamin B vitamin, and I want to quickly spend a moment here on there are foods that add stress biologically to you, like sugar. But when you go through stress, there are two things that you cannot go without. This is important. Okay, so whatever you're doing, stop. Please listen to this. Please listen to this. Whatever you're doing, listen to this. When you are stressed, two things are really important: magnesium and vitamin B. It doesn't matter what stress you have, those two are important. The B vitamins. I tell you why. Magnesium, to explain that in a simple term, magnesium opens the door to every cell of your body so that nutrients can go in there. When you go through stress, your body uses high quantities of magnesium. And when it uses these high quantities of magnesium, now remember, magnesium is going to take the calcium from your system, and through magnesium and pressure, it goes into your bones instead of staying behind in your blood. But when you use high quantities of magnesium because you're going through stress, then there isn't enough magnesium to take the calcium and take it out of the blood and put it into the bones and the hair where you need it. And for that matter, there isn't enough magnesium to take any other nutrients where they need to go to. So it is extremely important that you make sure that when you go through stress, that you take your magnesium and you take your B vitamins. Okay, so I was a bit long on that one, but that is an important one. Make sure you have some me time. Okay, I see chocolate is your best friend, but sometimes best friends are bad for you. They tell you, your parents have told you. They don't like that friend. So sometimes you got to watch it. But I can tell you, dark chocolate is excellent. It is nutritious for you. So learn to change your taste buds and practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is meditation. Now, there are different kinds of meditations. I prefer the meditation that puts something in your mind, not empties out the mind. And I tell you why. It's what goes into us that comes out of us. And if I am mindful to put positive and great things inside of me, then positive and great things will come out of me. And if you're a spiritual person, then you will do what is within your faith. For me, I have learned that within my faith, I have such peace. I have such trust in my God that a huge amount of things don't stress me anymore. They become like water off a duck's back because I have faith and trust in my Savior. That was the biggest stress relief of my life. And therefore, I have learned to take the appropriate scriptures and put them into my heart and into my mind, because that empowers me to walk in victory. And because I build on that trust. So that's important for you to take hold of. And the last one that I bring to you is sleep. Now, if anybody knows me, you know that I do sleep less than most people do. I work longer hours than most people do. But I have learned how to create a balance. And you need to find out where your balance is. That is key. I know that when I wake up one morning and there's a certain feeling I have, I rearrange my calendar because I need rest. And I do not stretch it out because I do not want to suffer burnout. And I want to encourage you with that. Okay, so now let's move on to time management. So let's leave stress behind and go on to time management. So I want you to understand that there is a time matrix. I call it T2T4. It's the 4 quadrants of time and how to understand this. Yes, it's not the quality, the quantity of the quality of sleep. Absolutely, that is correct. Can you explain about smoking and drinking? That's okay. Okay. Smoking and drinking is, if you take that, if you do those to relieve you from stress, you're going to get yourself into a negative cycle. That's it. Neither smoking nor drinking nor drugs have any health benefits for you. So it is a good thing to quit those. I'm not coming here from a religious order perspective and say, thou shalt not smoke, thou shalt not drink, thou shalt not take drugs. If you are doing that, I want to caution you, make sure you're not doing things because you using that to de-stress. I trust that works. Okay, great. So understanding the metrics of, let's go through this. I'm going to go through this a little fast because I just want you to be coordinated. Do know that exactly what is here is, I'm sending that into the notes for you in your assignment. Here goes. As I said, I'm going a bit fast. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. We're on flight 007. In quadrant 1, we have the things that are urgent. They're also very important. We need to manage these. It's important that we manage them, and they are necessary items that are there. What kind of things fit in there? Like a crisis. If the water pipe bursts, you need to deal with it. It's urgent, it's important, and you got to manage it. It's necessary. It's medical emergencies. It's pressing problems. If your best friend comes in and you find out they're busy trying to commit suicide, that's because of prison. You got to deal with that immediately. Deadline-driven projects, last-minute preparations for scheduled activities. You know when your Toastmasters meetings are scheduled for. When the one meeting is finished, begin to work on your project, not 5 minutes before the meeting starts. Then, quadrant number 2, the things that are not urgent, but they are important. We've got to focus on them, and a quality and personal leadership comes out of this quadrant. What is there in that quadrant? It's preparation and planning is in this quadrant. It's prevention, it's values clarification, exercise. Instead of smoking and drinking, go exercise. Relationship building. Hey, listen, smoke and drinkers, I don't have it against you. Please note that. I just care about your health. That's all. And so I'm going to build a relationship with you. Afterwards, let me meet all the smokers and drinkers. Let's build relationships. True creation and relaxation. And the reason why the word true creation and relaxation is there is because there's one thing that is not a relaxation. It boosts dopamine, but it's not a relaxation. Which one is it when I do this? You know what I'm talking about. Type in the box for me. What do you think this is? What relaxation am I busy with here? Exactly, Anna, exactly. And it's not a relaxer at all. Okay. Well done. Okay, now, Quadrant 3. What have we got in Quadrant 3? Why did it disappear? There we go. Quadrant 3 has things that are urgent, but they're not important. There's a bit of a deception there because it's so urgent. We think it's important, but they are not necessarily important. And we actually should avoid these things. Those are things like interruptions from some calls and some mail and reports, some meetings, many pressing matters, many popular activities. Quadrant number 4, not urgent, not important. I made a mistake there, waste. Forgive me for that. I just only saw it now. And avoid these. What are they? Trivia, busy work, just looking busy, just doing stuff to look busy, junk mail, some phone messages and emails, time wasters, escape activities, viewing mindless media. Mindless media can be TV shows or that social media one. So those are the 4 quadrants. Let's have a look at them now. So that, because I gave them one by one, let's just quickly look at them as a whole. If I look at them as a whole, I see Quadrant 1 has urgent things. Quadrant 2 has, sorry, the clock is now a little bit in my way. Quadrant 2 has not urgent. Quadrant 3 has urgent again, and Quadrant 4 not urgent. So you can see how it works. This side urgent, this side not urgent. But in Quadrant 1, it is important. In Quadrant 2, it's important this way. You see urgent goes down and important goes across. And then you see Quadrant 3, it's not important, and Quadrant 4, it's not important. Then we go on to Quadrant 1, you need to manage these. But Quadrant 2, you need to focus on them. Quadrant 3, that's where the deception is. You because they're urgent, you think you must work on them. And Quadrant 4 is where you waste the time. I don't know what happened there. Quadrant 1 is necessity. Quadrant 2 is quality and personal leadership. Number 3 is to avoid, and number 4 is to avoid. So let's quickly recap up to now. We saw what is stress. We saw, Anna, you raised your hand. How can I help you?
Okay, we are recapping, so maybe you'll talk about it again. But I really wanted to talk about Quadrant 2, where things are not important, well, not urgent, but important. So, like for example,
okay, so you spotted. So you spotted Quadrant 2, am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so hang in there.
All right.
Okay, hang in there, hang in there. Hang in there, you're sharp. Okay, you're sharp, I love it. Okay, so what is stress? We've seen what that is, how it negatively affects you. We've identified what, so especially in your assignment, you will be able to identify what stresses you. We had a little short think about it now. And then we needed to understand how our time is spent in the T2, T4, the time to task 4 quadrants. Now we need to make sure you add your stress points to your 4 quadrants. First, you focus on the 4 quadrants to put in there how things should fit in to the 4 quadrants according to the definitions. And remember, everything I showed you in those slides, they are in your notes coming home with you, like you're here with me. Yes, yay, you are here with me. And from there, you will see the 4 quadrants with all the information as I gave it to you. And then there will be an empty block underneath it where you will be able to type your personal things in, okay? So now you want to make sure that whatever you discovered that was stress items in the top, you're now going to add them into those 4 quadrants. And then it's time to schedule big rocks. Okay, so it's scheduling time. Okay, let's schedule. Now, I've got a short video that I want to show you. And the reason why I want to show you is, 1, this is the man where I learned it from. And 2, he is no longer. And I just appreciate all the things that I've learned from him. So I'm showing his video in honor of that. Let's see what he teaches you about the rocks.
Your name is?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. You have a work life?
I do.
Family life as well?
Mm-hmm.
Children?
Not yet.
Not yet. What's the nature of your work assignment?
I direct an international firm.
An international firm? Mm-hmm. So you really are interfacing with all kinds of people in the firm and outside the firm.
That's right.
You want a rich personal life and a rich family life. Do you ever feel like you get bogged down in the thick of thin things?
Yes.
Well, that might be analogous to all these little, small things that tend to fill our life. And that just little by little, they just accumulate. Now, your job, you can't go above this, is to get all those large rocks in the jar. Good luck. What's that one called?
Q2, planning, preparation.
Right. Planning, preparation, prevention, and empowerment. Mm-hmm. Okay, the next rock she's putting in there is called relationships and family. You didn't look at that third rock you put in there. That's employment, some key employment issue, and then you put major projects here. I can't get it above there.
I haven't worked it yet.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. That's called service, community, church. Do you ever feel like this?
Yes.
How many feel like this? By moving the little things around, you might squeeze in one more of those big major things. It's almost. Wow. You know, if it doesn't fit, force it. Here's something that's called urgent and important. It's a quadrant 1 thing that is blindsiding you, that it's your biggest client, that if you don't get back to that client now, you've given up your vacation. And you have no special block of time just for yourself. I'll tell you what you can do if you want to.
What's that?
You can take a whole different approach. You have a totally fresh bowl. You can work out of a different paradigm altogether.
Well, then I'd rather put these in the bottom and then pour the little pebbles on top.
Employment.
Big opportunity.
Big opportunity.
Important and urgent. Block of time. Those young children keep looking at me. Glad my husband's not here. No, I dump these in there.
Okay.
right. So I do believe you saw what this is all about. This is about learning how to schedule your big rocks. So we've looked at the stress things. We've looked at the 4 quadrants of what's important, what's urgent, what's not important, etc. To identify between those. And now we need to look at what are the big rocks in your life. And those big rocks need to be scheduled. Those are the big rocks now, dearest Hannah, come in the quadrant 2 that you saw, because your big rocks mainly fit into quadrant 2. I didn't answer your question. I kind of half cut you off there because I wanted to get here now. Has your question been answered, or do you need some more information?
Yeah, you caught me right there, because I was just thinking, I feel like I've got a lot in quadrant 2, a lot of things I need to focus on, which tend to be important, but not urgent. And then I do the urgent and important, and then sometimes I don't, like, I'm wondering, but I have important things to do. And it seems there's a lot of urgent things that always come piling up before the important stuff. So yeah, I think that
So
the
that's-
rocks analogy really kind of worked.
Okay, so the moment we learn to, because we all are given the same 24 hours every day, and we have to make our life fit into that 24 hours of the day. And based on that, if we can identify what are those big rocks in our lives and schedule them accordingly, and then let other things fit in there. Now, just to help you understand the big rock issue, let's say one of your big rocks is relationships, and you identify in that big rock which are the key relationships that you have. Because you focus on those relationships and you give them time and you give them purpose when you do your planning, you avoid potentially that life so happens that the first part where all of life happens and those little green bits and pieces fill in your life and there's no time for relationship building. That's where people draw apart in terms of families, friendships, people at work, you know, the people that you work with, there are some key relationships you need to build there, networks, etc. So by understanding how the big rocks work and you use the planning of big rocks, this helps tremendously. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a guideline. So go and use any calendar of your choice. And when I say calendar of your choice, that means you can use the Google Calendar or Outlook, or if there's any other calendar that you come across, but you want to make sure that it's a calendar that has reminders that can work on all your devices, because your phone you're carrying with you all the time. And you want to be practical. We want this to be practical. And right now, I would like to just pull up the chat box again and ask if any of you are using, sorry, I missed that question. Is it correct to say that you are a big rock? You are also a big rock because you need time for yourself. So self-time is a big rock, and relationship is a big rock, and work and its projects is a big rock because you need to spend a lot of time there. So those are all your big rocks. And health, because maybe you need, under health is what you eat and how you exercise and just how you look after your health. So I hope that explains big rocks there. But what I'm getting to now is there anybody here on this call that says, I use an amazing calendar that works across devices and it has blah, 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 whatever it does for you. So one, if you have an amazing calendar, which is maybe not Google and Outlook, that you can just type that in, or if you are using maybe Google, because most people have Gmail on, so that means you've got the Google Calendar. Have you found a function on the Google Calendar that is just amazing that you've just got to share with us now? So share with us your calendar experience. If you've got an amazing calendar that you would like to share with us, or if there is an amazing function on the Google Calendar that you definitely have to tell us about, share that with us right now. I continue. So once you've decided which calendar to use, then you go ahead and you schedule. And what do you schedule? You schedule anything that happens annually. So you put birthdays on there, anniversaries on there, all those things that are annual events. Maybe for your church, you have an annual Thanksgiving thing, or maybe for your work, you have an annual whatever event there that you are part of. Maybe you do the Hall of Fame annually for Toastmasters and you need to do that. Schedule annual events. Then anything that you have monthly, schedule those, and then schedule the weekly items and adjust them daily. So what I have is, when I started with this kind of lifestyle, that was many, many years ago. I used to use, somebody's mic is on, please. I used to schedule Saturday mornings very early before my family wakes up. I sit down because you must remember, I had 4 children in 5 years. So this is what I looked like. I would have in my pouch in the front. I would have a baby on the back. I would have a baby in the pram that I'm pushing and a baby in the belly. 4 babies, 4 children in 5 years. What a sight. However, so you can imagine I was very busy. And I did Toastmasters as well. And I was MD of 2 companies. I was very busy. So I used early Saturday morning because most people would lie in a little bit on Saturday morning. Then I would get up early and I would plan and schedule. And that was for me highly productive to do that. So I want to encourage you, find your time where you can weekly schedule the week ahead, where you put your big rocks in. And don't fill up your entire calendar from every moment to every moment. Don't do that. You just want to make sure that the big rocks are in there. You want to make sure that you've taken care of the stress points and the things that stress you. Those are the things that are important. The rest will happen in between. At the moment somebody says, can you meet me on this day and that time? You quickly put it and add it in, and you'll see how it fills in along the way. Google Keep, Anna, we will ask you to tell us about that. Use Google Calendar across the phone and computer. Does not include work stuff, so I have to add that. Okay. You know that you are able to many times have more than one calendar if people share a calendar with you, and then you don't have to go to another calendar. It mixes, it comes together, that you can just see it as one calendar for you. So that is very important to look at that as well. Right, now let's quickly look at scheduling, using these quadrants for scheduling. Add the items in that from your T2, T4. There are medium rocks and there are big rocks in these quadrants. They are the ones that you want to look at first, that you want to do, because the rest, the sand, it will filter in. You don't even have to plan for them. You don't even have to put them in unless there is a for sure appointment that you're making with somebody and you just don't want to forget what that's all about. Right. Recap number 2, we've learned what stress is, how it negatively affects you, and how you identifying what stresses you. We've also learned to understand how our time is spent in the 4 quadrants with the T2, T4. Now make sure you add your stress points to the 4 quadrants, and that is it. Time and stress management balanced. Any questions? Let's talk. I'm going to now look at the chat box again because there were some good statements there. Okay, Hannah, tell us about Google Keep while we wait for somebody to raise their hand and ask questions.
All right, so I am a writer, and I've been looking for ways, like I get ideas at very awkward times, and I don't always have my notebook on me. What I like about Google Keep, it's just like Google Calendar, except that you can actually then write details and points. I've even used it in meetings at work, so you can actually literally take minutes during a meeting and then share it. So, but people only get to see the note that you have had. So Google Keep helps me to then and funny enough, I actually do have the quadrants in my Google Keep. So you have labels. So I actually do use the labels. Let me just look at it. To say not important, important, and then you can pin them. So for example, I tend to then my top pin is the urgent and important one, obviously. So the things that I need to work on first, and all that. But what I really like about it, the best, okay, so this is going to sound so funny, but the best thing about this Google Keep is the fact that I stay with my cousin, and so we share a shopping list for groceries. So there's things that we buy individually, and then the things that we don't buy. So you can add someone and forever have them on that shopping list. And so if they want to add something, they can do that. So it's like, I found it, it's like a diary and a scheduling thing. And I can also put in all my ideas at once. So I love it. And you can also use voice. So you can just say, phone so-and-so later.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hannah. That's wonderful. We have some questions. I see Patience, you have your hand up. What question do you have? And I see there's something in the box as well.
Thank
Just
you.
unmute yourself there.
Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Evening to us all, and thank you so much for all this on stress and time management. So my question is around, so the two sort of worlds that we sort of exist in. There's our family, the social friendships, family and that. And then there's career work, projects and all this. So I'm asking this in relation with saying no. And I'm picking up that saying no is a big, is big in helping you manage stress and manage time. So then how to then maneuver in these two spaces, like for work, career,
good for you
and family and the social setting, to say no, to draw your lines, to draw your boundaries, and yeah.
That's why it's really helpful if you have one calendar. Now, remember, one calendar can be, you can have a work calendar, maybe on your Outlook with all of the information on there, then you share it with yourself. And then you've got your personal calendar, because you don't want on the work PC to have all the information about personal items, etc. And you share that with you too, so that on your device, you have all of these calendars that you can see on your device and that you are reminded. And that means when they come together, it brings your work and your social and your personal life together on one place, and then you can see how it fits in. And therefore, when you take on what I've shared, just the logic of how I've gone through the process, and you identify your big rocks of work, the big rocks of your family, because family is a rock on its own, and work is a rock on its own. Your house is a rock on its own. So that's how you identify the rocks, and you put them in accordingly. And let's say you put in a family rock. Talk to your family and say, listen, guys, let's have a time in the week that we can be together as a family. Sometimes we can make it. Now, I don't know how many people here actually are married and have children, or they're single, or doesn't matter what you are. If it's the family, you and wife and children, or husband and children have some time together, or it's a husband and wife time together, or it's you with a child, that is, let's say once one night a week is our family night. Let's say it's Friday nights, and we can plan ahead how we will have it, but it's a rock. So you just block it out. Every Friday night is family night. How you spend it and change it going further, that doesn't matter. You can adjust that from week to week, but you've blocked out your family time. So I hope that clarifies that a little bit more, Patience. Did that answer your question?
Yes, I think it did answer my question. And I think maybe sometimes, maybe just as a follow-up, when you've got so many now, does it point to being disorganized when or it's just life? Sometimes so many little things come in and sort of disrupt your...
My dearest darling, Patience, it's not sometimes. I think all of us here have it all the time. It's life. And that's why we must find the big rocks so that we keep on doing that which is valuable and important, that we focus on those. And then these other things can fit in between our lives so that we don't feel so stressed because we did get to the important things. I see Loxolo. Please help me with your name, please. I see you've raised your hand.
It's Lokolo, Granny B.
Say that again.
Lokolo.
Lukolo.
Yes, yes.
Lukolo. Thank you.
Sorry, I won't turn on my video. My bandwidth is quite low. It gives me connection issues when the video is on. Granny B, help me out here. Mm-hmm. I've had these technical advices on time, but I think I'm searching for something more. If you can share, maybe it might be specific to you, but probably I might get something out of it. What's your emotional alignment or connection with time? The reason I'm asking that, I know of a guy, I don't know him personally. He's a marathon runner. He's a professor. He's a student. He is in one of the national committees in SA that sits and reports directly to the president. He is a researcher. He travels all over. He reads about 50 books a year. And I'm like, the more I get to understand whether time or money or all these concepts, maybe because I'm more emotional, I get to understand that there are emotional blocks that until you get to know what's your emotional block, that open doors to you achieving something. So if you can share on your side, what's your emotional connection with time and what's your emotional interpretation of time? Thank you, Granny B.
I'm gonna try that. I would say to you that I have learned that somehow I happen to have, I believe, a gift of energy more than other people. I know I've got more energy than most of you here on the call, and most of you are probably half my age. I always thought everybody's like me, and then I can't understand why are you still in bed? You know, there's time, there's stuff to be done. So I realized that I'm different, and when you mention a person that's done so much, I do believe that that there are groups of people that might have gifts of more energy than others, which makes them naturally do more. So that's one part. I know I'm not quite answering your question in terms of my connection to time, but I'm hoping to give you something here that you can latch on to. That's the one thing that I've seen regarding time. Another thing that I've also noticed regarding time is there are people that we have different personalities. there are people that, and I like when you use the DISC profile, I have another name for it, but a similar thing. You get the people from the land of control. That's the high Ds. They are task orientated. They're just looking, are things done? And they just steamroller everything. They're not bad because they're like that. We need people like that. That's who they are. Then we've got in the DISC, the I, the high Is, which I call from the land of fun. Man, they are ready for every party. They are not productively high because they are relational. And as we go through life, there are different jobs, functions, positions that need these different types of people to be able to do the different type of work that needs to be done. You can't put a party person in a job that maybe is in a manufacturing line and they must keep on stamping something. They will go crazy. They can't do that. But then there are people that are from the land of perfect. They are structured. And you've got to tell them 6 weeks in advance because they can't change their mind just like that. That's just how they're made. But they are loyal and faithful, and they will be there, and you can rely on them, and they will do everything. And then you get the people that are on a gondola. They talk slowly. They're smooth. They have all the time in the world. And when I'm there around them, I think, hurry up, talk faster, please, hurry up. And same, they drive like that, they work like that, they talk like that. That's who they are. So even though I give us all the same information, each one of us has a different character, and we're going to live it out differently. And I guess what I'm trying to tell you here is don't compare yourself with anybody else. Find out who you are. Be the best version of you, and use the ideas that are here to structure your time to fit in with who you are and be your best version. And the last thing I want to add to that is this. I have found in life that there are three, I don't know what to call it. You can call it whatever you want. I don't want to say categories because I hate putting people in a box. But from working with people at Toastmasters, from working with people around the world on projects, major projects I've been on, helping leaders in big corporates, it doesn't matter who I've been, where I've been, I see the same phenomena. Maybe that's what I should call it. What I have noticed is you will find that of the three that I'm going to show you, 2% of the entire world population. Now, remember, that's what I found. 2% of the world's population are starters. There's a word for them, pioneers. They are pioneers. They are the people that start things. What's the guy from the airlines and Elon Musk and all of these guys? They are the starters. 2% of the world are starters, pioneers. 3% of the world are with it, they're alert, they help them, they're there with them in it. They will lead those tasks, they'll manage those tasks, they know exactly what's going on. So 5% of the world make things happen around the world. And 95% of the world knows something is happening, but they don't know things in detail. And by that, I'm not saying I'm this kind of person and you that, etc. It's what I've discovered. So when you are working in an environment and you are maybe a 3%er or a 2%er, you could get very frustrated with a 95%er. But you know what? We are all people created for a purpose. And we've got to understand that we are there, we are different, and we need to allow our differences to be there because eventually we fit together and make the human race a beautiful group of people. And you need to find out who you are and shine there. Mududzi. Help me.
You got the first part right. It's Mduduzi. Thank you very much, Granny B. Good evening. So my question for you is, I've done the quadrants before, and I've actually realized that in quadrant 1 and 2, for me, it's actually sand, right? Mainly because it's your business as usual that I deal with in my line of work, that I deal with in my personal space as well. So I'm starting to think now, really, if this sand that is BAU, if maybe it should be converted to this big rock called BAU, because whether I'm not working or I'm working, I am BAU, I'm like 24/7, but I still have these big rocks that I have that I still need to prioritize. But BAU can come any time of the day, be 2 a.m., be 7 a.m., whenever. So how does, as far as time is concerned, would you agree with me to say BAU could be something that could be a rock, and at the same time, it's really not it's not urgent, and at times it may be important that it needs to be done because it's operations that needs to happen. If it is not done, there's a process that will fail along the line, that kind of stuff, but it's not confirmed that it will happen in the next hour or it won't happen at all. How does one manage such, I still like to call it send, because it's, even if I'm sleeping, if I don't get a call, that means it's not important. But if I wake up, I could get a call, and then it's important, it needs to be done like yesterday. So how does one is it something that can be converted? Maybe this sand can be converted to rocks at times and also be kept as sand.
Well, I do believe that if we can understand that rocks is what is supposed to be your focus. In other words, if I have scheduled rocks, I've scheduled them because they are scheduling a certain kind of rock is going to be beneficial. Maybe not the fact that I'm working on the rock right now, it might not benefit me right now, but it's going to benefit me in the future. And because I've worked on the rocks, I have less urgent matters that are stressing me taking place because I've taken care of certain things ahead of time. The idea here is, I do perceive that maybe you are a person that you might be potentially quite detailed. You look at all the details around you. Detail is important to you. I'm not sure. But if you are a detailed person, then it is true that possibly you would want, because you want to give everything attention, because everything then, the moment it comes up, it's a detail to be taken care of. I would like to encourage you to make sure what are the details, the rocks that you should be taking care of. And then to tell yourself that there are some details that I don't need to take care of. It's like a woman putting on makeup. Now I know, how can I tell a man this? But sorry, I just don't have a man thing that I can tell you at the moment. You see, as a woman, I have seen women put on makeup and they can take up to 30 minutes to put makeup on. And they look drop dead gorgeous. Absolutely. Me, I do makeup under a minute, but I have to have lipstick and I have to have eyeliner. That's all. I just put my eyeliner on, put my lipstick on, I'm happy. You see, that's the detail for me. But there's another person that needs layers of whatever. So for me, it was important, just the lipstick and the eyeliner. And now that we've got Zoom can even give me lips that when I'm talking, it follows me. Okay, out of the way. Does that bring sense to you or not?
It does, Granny B. I do believe there is quite a lot of work that I still need to do, because it actually brings stress at times that I could miss something, and that's why it's so I could relate when it comes to stress management, because these are few triggers that I've noted. So thank you very much for that.
And especially if you're a person that gives attention to detail, you would give attention to too much detail. So you must give yourself permission for which detail are you going to focus on and which detail not allowed to. Don't touch that one. Okay. L.E.A, is that right? L.E.A.
That's correct, Granny B. It's L.E.A.
Okay.
I just wanted to find out, obviously, you're sitting here and explaining stuff, and it's taken already an hour for us to gather and understand quite a few concepts. But as demanding as my job is, for example, how do I do this in a short amount of time for people to understand? So when I say no, it's not because I'm saying no because I dislike you or I dislike the task, but I'm saying no because I don't have the capacity to complete this task successfully right now. How do you communicate effectively to people so that it is understood for you, understood for them to grasp your concept, basically?
You know, that's a very important thing that you're putting out there, because for me, this no issue was really difficult. You see, I want to be honest and open. It's not like when the phone rings and the parent tells the child, tell them I'm not here, because I don't like that. I don't want that in my life. I want to be honest and open. So when people send me, can you do this? And maybe at that time, I might have an opening in my calendar, but I know a little bit later, I've got something that I need to do. And I actually need that time to be able to prepare for the other thing. And I physically don't have the capacity. I don't have any other time slot to prepare for what they want me to do. Now, sometimes they ask me to do something that I've already done several times, a presentation that I've done several times, and I need just a few minutes before I go and present it to just rehearse what I've done. Not a problem. But if I need to go and work on it and everything like that, then I look at it, and then I just, instead of saying, oh, sorry, I've got an appointment already, then I'm lying because I don't have an appointment. There isn't an appointment on my calendar. Then I tell them, I'm sorry, I will not be able to fit it in. My day is too full. I won't be able to fit it in. My day is too full. And that's the truth. And they just need to understand that. And I need to learn to become stronger and not be manipulated, and still reach out to them. I don't have to say to everybody, "Hell no," you don't have to do that. But it's a self-development to learn how to say a no, that you can still keep the friendship and just know I can't do it now. I did see another hand, and now okay. Hannah, I'm going to give you a moment now. I just quickly want to look at the box here. Zavai DTM, tell me, it looks like I still have 5 minutes left. Am I right, or am I misinterpreting the agenda?
We should have had a bio break and then gotten into questions.
The bio break. I went straight into the questions.
Not a problem. So I don't know if you want to take Hannah's one, and then we can just have a short bio break and then continue.
And then we can deal with the questions in the box. Okay, Hannah, over to you.
All right, thanks, Granny B. So what I want to say is, it's not it's a bit of an addition to what you were saying, and it's not a hell no answer. And I learned this from reading the essentialism, is that the other things that we don't say to people, instead of saying no, is I will think about it. Let me think about it. And I'm telling you, it also changed my life to say to people, instead of giving a yes or no answer immediately, tell someone, let me think about it. But for me, what really works is I'll check my schedule. So you can also say, instead of saying no to people, you can say, I'll check my schedule. When they get back to you, you say, my schedule doesn't allow. So you're not saying hell no, but you're still saying no, and it's in a diplomatic manner.
Yes, yes. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And with that, I hand back to you, Zavai DTM. Oh, Benjamin.
Hello, Granny B. Let me quickly say something. If you work in an environment where scheduling is not a culture. You took somebody's appointment seriously, but the time arrives, they didn't show up, like, last minute, they changed things. And this is, pervasive everywhere. How do you keep your sanity? And then another thing, there's this African debt that you have to pay depending on which side of the family you are. If you're the firstborn or whatever, people have access to you and they just throw problems at you. Even if you don't want to worry about it, it's already inside you. You're already thinking about the problem. This brings some level of stress. So when you live in an environment like this, that even if you handle your own business well, others don't handle theirs well, and you're connected by blood, you're connected by maybe schooling or something. So these are realities as well. How do you manage this in the prevailing circumstances?
Remember when, maybe, I don't know if you were here when I started, but when I started, I was talking about, I interrupted my own thoughts. I forgot what I wanted to share. Life's most embarrassing moments when you're over 60. You forget what you wanted to say. I am Benjamin. Okay, let me just tell you. Let me not go to the story that I forgot, but let me answer you in a different way. Benjamin, one of the things that we've had is like a Toastmasters meeting where the actual Toastmaster of the day, a few minutes before the meeting says, oh, sorry, I can't make it. It's like, really? So this is the kind of thing you're talking about, people that either don't pitch up or they don't even tell you that. They sometimes just don't even pitch up. And there's a huge amount of unreliability. There I remembered what I wanted to talk about. When I started, I was sharing about where do you learn the most? You learn the most when you are teaching, coaching, mentoring. That's when you learn the most. So my suggestion to you is, many people that practice great wisdom, when somebody comes to them with their problem or with whatever it is, they ask them questions so that they can think about it and they look for because if you go to any companies, if you help major companies, if they hit a problem, they actually have the solutions, but they just need somebody to help them see that they've got the solution. So often I would like to challenge you for a personal growth to learn how to ask them questions that they can learn by themselves and that they don't make their problems your problem. And the second thing is that when they don't arrive like they should or have the commitment like they need to, that you can find some life lesson, a story, a life lesson that they can see that you can connect it with, because people connect if they find an emotional thing that they can connect with. Let's just do that break and leave your hand up, Kabanda, leave your hand up. And when we come back from the break, then I will give you first opportunity. Okay. I hope that helped. I hope that answered.
Thank you, Granny B. Yes, it did help.
Good. Thank you, DTM Zavai. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Granny B. Talking about time and stress management and bringing balance. And I always love going back and referring back to the time management matrix, looking at the urgent, important, urgent, not important, not urgent, important, and not urgent, not important. So thank you so much for that. We will have a 5-minute bio break. So if you want to grab a beverage, hot or cold, if you want to just stretch, and then we'll come back and continue with the questions in the chat box, then get our assignment for session number 8, and then we will call it an evening. So thank you so much.
la na binandisa. Surtout quand il ne finit bam bam. Ça se lève, pourtant tam tam. Mettre la paillasse sans tracas. Ah la la na bina blabla. Bouti bouti, il peut danser dans tout côté, il peut tourner. Mais sur les côtés devant, sur les côtés derrière, il tourne, il tourne. Les côtés devant, sur les côtés derrière, il tourne, il tourne. Les côtés devant, sur les côtés derrière, il tourne, il tourne. Sur les côtés devant, sur les côtés derrière, il tourne, il tourne. Il est sur la main là-haut. 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 Enfin non, moi, il y a 100 l'éternel, mais pas invité. Il pour rentrer, il pour manger, boire.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. And we will continue with our Q&A, and I will hand back control to Granny B.
Thank you so much. I just would like to know how much time we now have, because we've messed up the program so far. Is it another 5 minutes? Or 10 minutes?
You can take another 10 minutes for questions and then 5 minutes to talk us through the assignment, and then we'll wrap it up.
Thank you. Great. And Kabanda, your hand was up. Please, let's hear what you have to say.
Thank you very much, Benedi. Mine wasn't so much a question than an observation arising from what Ben was saying. I guess because I could relate to some of the cultural issues that he was raising, you know? You're on some WhatsApp group and someone just rocks up and starts talking about weddings and some wedding ceremony that you're now suddenly a part of. And I guess that's a struggle that I've had as well. But listening to you speak and listening to the very insightful stuff that you have said, I think that it's important for us to realize that saying no does require some amount of courage. We keep asking you these questions, hoping you're going to tell us something that's going to make saying no like some pill that you take. Unfortunately not. It's going to be hard, but it's something that you have to prioritize for the sake of your health, for the sake of the things that you need to get done. So it does require courage. And I just wanted to point out that we must bear that in mind. It might get easier as the more we do it. But as we start out, it's important to just be courageous and do it even when it's hard.
Excellent. Wow, thank you so much. That is brilliant. Sorry. And one of the other things, at one stage we were 70 on the call. Understanding how we struggle to make it all fit in. We should then turn the table around too and make sure that we are not pressurizing other people, that we can take each other's hand in this and that we are able to move forward together. A good thing is to have a bit of an honesty conversation, if I can put it that way. In other words, if you need somebody to help you with something and they say no, then instead of it forming a manipulation, say, oh, please, I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you, or whatever the case may be, or however you go about it, or whether it's a cultural, you feel that you have to, because it fits in there, that one has an honest conversation and say, you know, in my heart, I'd love to help you. I'd love to be able to drop everything here and just help you. But I can't. I really just can't do that. Maybe we can have a quick discussion now for 5 minutes. Thrash out a few things and we walk away and we think about it and see if there isn't a different approach on how to handle that issue. Because sometimes in our mind, we think it must be done like that. But when we open it up to say, well, I needed you because I need somebody to do this for me, and we threw that out there and we spoke to them quickly, it causes them to think about it as well. And if you text each other afterwards and throw a few suggestions out there, maybe you come across a totally different way of approaching it that doesn't even require as much time or it can bring in somebody else to do it, or whatever it opens up to. And I just think is if we can have a caring heart for each other, knowing that we are all trying to fit in our lives in this space and time that we have, and that we can rather look at how can we help each other manage that time better through looking for new inspirational ways, just like the lady was pounding the big rocks trying to put it in there, and then Stephen Covey said to her, but you know what, let me give you another opportunity. Use this bowl and see if you can make a difference. It totally changed everything for her. And sometimes that's what we need, is to just be able to have that conversation with somebody and turn the whole thing around. But I thought I needed to do, I don't need to do. Something else that's easier might work much better, and I must just lay it aside. Now, while we had the break, I went through the comments here. There was a lot of lovely comments there. Thank you very much. And some hints and tips and all kinds of great things, but I did not see any other questions. So are there any other questions from the floor? No is not a dirty word. Absolutely. No is not a dirty word. And you know what? No is not rejection. I think, I don't know about you, but it's easy to feel rejected when somebody says no to you. And we need to understand that no is not a rejection. No means that if I went and I had to do it for you, and I didn't say no, I'm going to give you substandard attention, work, whatever it is. But because I value you and I care about you and I want to give you quality, I have to say no because I can't fit it in the way I am. I see, Patricia, your hand is up, and then I see there's a question in the box. Patricia.
Hi, Granny. My question indeed that day was written in the chat box was about how to estimate well the timing. In fact, I'm working, for example, in some big rock, and then after that, the remainder of the new big rock is clocking. So I mean that I underestimate the time when I planned the calendar a few days ago or a few.
That's true. That can happen, that you blocked out an hour for something and then the next hour is for something else, and you were not finished in that time. Now, you will have to make a decision there, because the time that you worked on that hour that you gave it, if you did not finish it, if it's something that you need in 2 hours time or 3 hours time, you need that to go make a presentation, then definitely the things that fit in front before you get to it, you will have to make some readjustments. You will have to do that. But if that which you are doing here is not needed right now, it's needed further down the line, just take some time, adjust, see how much you need, and reschedule it. Because remember, every morning I look at my day and I just want to remind myself, what appointments do I have that day? I want to make a physical reminder in my head so that I can just look at how things are going to go. Then it's easy if I worked on something now and I say I'm not going to finish, but I need to go on to the next thing, that I can quickly just look at my day tomorrow and see, okay, because remember, if you just schedule your big rocks and odd appointments, you must not learn. Let me put it this way. None of us here should ever run our lives like a doctor's diary of appointments with people coming in every 15 minutes. You will not be able to live a life if you schedule your life every hour of the day. Don't even think that. Just put the big rocks in and schedule work that you have. Block out work time. That's what you can do. And if that work time was not enough, just go and for that project, add it in. But don't become detailed that you sit an hour every day to plan the next day. No, 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 no. Don't do that. But you can take an hour once a week to glance at the week and readjust things. That's what you can do. But in the morning, to look at the day, it shouldn't even take you 2 minutes to readjust anything if you need to. So that's important. So Patricia, I trust that that helped you to just be able to say, just evaluate. Is it something I need within 3 hours? Then I must adjust the things that are coming ahead. But if I only need it further down the line, just add some more time for that in your next day's schedule. And there was a question here. What do you do when you have a manipulative person in front of you? Probably hell no. That's probably the time for hell no. But okay. Yes, that is a hard one because there are many. And what do you do if that manipulative person is your boss? What do you do then? There is a book called something Boundaries. I can't remember its full name. I'll have a look and then I'll throw the information there, which is an excellent book on teaching you how to put boundaries in and deals exactly with such type of people. I will share the name and the author of the book. And if you do struggle to deal with people like that so that you can put boundaries in with people like that, because you also get narcissistic people. And understand this, excuse me, a narcissistic person, the moment you say no to them, they don't take it as no. They take it as you're their enemy. You've declared war with them. That's how it affects their mind. You must understand that. They immediately see you as an enemy because you've declared war. You do not agree with them. So it is serious. You have to learn how to form your words, how to make a statement so that it looks like you are still for them. And some of the things that I would do is I would maybe say something like, wow, that seems like something really amazing. I'd love to help you with that. In order for me to give you my best value, there's no ways I can do it this week. But next week, Thursday afternoon, I've got a gap that I can do that. Will that work? If they say no, then you say, then I don't know what to do because that's the only time I can do it. And I really want to give you my best value. And that's how I can give you my best value. I hope that gives an answer towards that. Hannah? Yes.
Okay, I think hopefully this will be my last one, but Granny B, I'm going to ask because I know you, so I'm sorry, there's something that you do every year and okay, well, I experienced it last year where you gave people and I think I want you to talk about it because you didn't and I was expecting you to. I think like a district group and you said, I am not going to be available from the 13th of December until the 2nd of January. Please tell us about that in terms of time management and stress management and balance.
Okay. Thank you. Hannah, that is true. Every year I have a period of time that I block out. And I block everybody out of my life except my family. And it is normally from the 1st of December until the middle of January. It's about a 6-7 week period of time. And what I do is I do not answer WhatsApps. I don't go on social media. I even switch my phone off from time to time. I just disconnect. And I do that because the entire year I'm busy helping everybody. And then there are things that I wanted to do. I didn't have enough time. They're not urgent that I should get them done by this day or that day, but they are things that I want to get done. So it's my time to catch up and do the bits and pieces that I didn't get time to do. That's the time when I do major changes, major things. And so I don't have to attend meetings. I don't have to attend social media or anything like that. I cut myself off everywhere. I focus on what I have in front of me. I do it as fast as I can so that when the new year starts, that I can feel, yes, it's a new year. And I'm excited about the new year because, one, I catch up on my work, and two, the 1 year that I did that, I wrote my book. I wrote my book within a period of 3 weeks, a 256-page book. So I have discovered that for me in my life, it's valuable. It makes me feel like I look forward to every new year because I've done that. Now it irks people because they want to talk to me and stuff like that. And sorry, I'm just not available. You have me for 10.5 months of the year. 1.5 months, my time. It's also a time for me. We have a time of separation. I do some fasting and praying because I want to know how to go spiritually into the next year. And that's important for me. It's very important for me to do that. So that's what I do. John, I've noticed that some old school. Okay, thank you. What I've learned, you find out which person should give you. Okay, that's a statement. Thank you. Boundaries by Henry Cloud and Dr. John. Yes, I believe that's the book. Thank you. Boundaries, face to face. Okay. Thank you for all the, you are just an amazing crowd. There have been such amazing statements there and formation. And I think I need to quickly go through the assignment so that we can finish off well here. Let me quickly just make sure my assignment page is ready, that I can share and take you through the assignment, and then we're done. Oh, sorry, not, where's there? Share the screen, and here's the document. Oh, this thing is now on my way. There we go. So there's 3 sections in the assignment. The first section is just those pointers that I went through. I ask questions here just to help you identify what stresses you. So in A, you would be putting down the negative items that you discover, and B, you will look at, well, what can you do to avoid that? So this is like a self-seeking thing. You want to look at how you can help yourself to alleviate stress. And that's the pointers here. If anything up here should reflect that it's something that you need to put on the calendar or add to the calendar, mark it that way so that you can do that. Then section B is the time, it's my T2, T4 name metrics that I have here. So I give you exactly what I spoke about, and then I give you the block for you to fill in. And part that you fill is complete your T2. You look at what do you do, where do you spend your time here, and you fill it up here to have a look at how do you live your life. And then I go on this section, I take you through everything. It's like a checklist. I'm asking you, have you discovered and identified what causes the most stress? And briefly there, I'm asking you a quick few questions, and then I'm telling you now go and schedule and what you need to schedule. So this is just to take you through the information that I've shared with you and to help you to be able to use that information in its systematic flow, identify your big rocks, and begin to schedule accordingly so that you can just, even if you just get to see what stresses you, and if you need to put appointments so that you can alleviate the stress from that, and you can identify what are your big rocks so that you can schedule those. If you can just even have those basics done, I believe it's going to create a huge change for you and bring some balance into your life. I trust that's it for today. And I'm excited about your future, the questions you ask, the road you are traveling on, and I wish you all the best. I'm in the group. Ask questions. I love to help. You know. Zavai DTM, I hand back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Granny B. And if we can light up the chat box, I've already seen thank yous. Thank you from Toastmaster Gina, from Toastmaster Stephen. And someone had said, Toastmaster Mahefa was saying that can't hear anything. I think it may be on your side because Toastmaster Busi could hear clearly. I could also hear. So I'm not sure what happened to you there, Toastmaster Mahefa. And yes, thank you for lighting up the chat box. People that are joining us from District 74, from the 12 different countries, and also our friends of District 74. We've got from Washington, DC, we've got from Antigua and Barbuda, and also from Montserrat. Thank you so much for having joined us this evening. And in the beginning, I had overlooked requesting people to check how they are named. We have Toastmaster Pusi, Toastmaster Grace, Toastmaster Melissa, Toastmaster Patience, and Toastmaster Moyo Moyo. We needed your full names because we do use the names that you have as participants to tick off the register. So in future, please just make sure that your names are put in full. Those that I called out, please just quickly type in your full names in the chat box so that we'll be able to tick off the register. If I can ask you all to turn on your cameras, it's that time of the evening where we put on our best smiles and have our photo session. Thank you to our Zoom masters. So if we could all switch on our cameras or our videos so that we can have our photo moments. Thank you, Patience Chipara. Let's have our videos on, and our Zoom masters will then be taking photos. So you never know when the slide is coming to you. So just keep that permanent smile on. Toastmaster Hannah, I see you. Toastmaster Anne-Marie, all the way from Washington, I see you too. Toastmaster Tom, Swaziland, I see you. Our Zoom masters, I see you too. Toastmaster Patricia, Toastmaster Gianna, Toastmaster Hannah, Toastmaster Busi, Toastmaster Alia, Toastmaster Lorna, Toastmaster June, Toastmaster Sakile, Toastmaster David, Toastmaster Benjamin, I see that smile, Toastmaster Natisha. Our Zoom masters can let us know when you're done.
I got a good number of shots. I trust that Sigrid and Selena also got some. Thanks, Siva.
Great, thank you so much. If I didn't call your name, I just hadn't gotten to that page as yet. So don't think I favored everyone else. So Toastmaster Lynette, I see you. Toastmaster Dowie, Toastmaster Abigail. Thank you so much, everyone. And we will see you next week, Saturday, same time, 6 p.m. Central Africa time. We will be on session number 9, which is motivational, inspirational communication. And a special thank you yet again to Granny B for giving us your time and sharing with us about time and stress management and just bringing balance to our lives. And at exactly 19:59, good evening and goodbye and good night, everyone, and good day to those on the other side of the world. Thank you and bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Night.
Bye. Thank you. Good night.
Night. Thank you.
Dile, 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 dile.